Hey guys, good morning. I'm back at the Junkyard and I'm looking at the 2.4 liter Ecotec that I'm going to try and pull this morning for the Baja Bug. Now I got a couple of friends who are going to be meeting me here in about an hour to help me with all this. So I came here yesterday at the end of the day. They close at 5. I got here about 4:30. I wanted to walk through one more time, see what they had, because the inventory changes. So there were some changes. I did find this vehicle, which is a good 2.4 liter motor. And what makes it even better is it's got the insurance claim stuck to the windshield. So I can actually see the mileage, which is 113,000 miles. And I can see that it was totaled because it was in a collision. Now that's a bonus for me, because that tells me that this motor was running. It was driving down the road and it got into an accident. So pretty much guaranteed that this motor is not locked up, most likely does not have any major problems, and being that it's only got 113,000 miles, there's a lot of life left in that motor. So, and it hasn't really been, I mean, somebody's taken the radiator and headlights, but as far as the engine goes, it's pretty much unscathed. So I'm feeling like this is a real good candidate. So I came here early. I talked to the guys yesterday. This Junkyard technically opens at 8:30 a.m. But I know that on Saturdays, these places have a big rush. As a matter of fact, they kind of unveil their new inventory later in the week to work with that Saturday rush. So I asked, when I was leaving yesterday, I asked them, what time can I get in here? And they said if you show up at 7:30, they're usually letting people in. So I showed up at 7:30. There was actually a line of people at the door waiting to get in. But they let us in, and I came straight to the car here. And now I'm going to start taking it apart. So here's where we're at on the motor. I've disconnected everything that I can think of or that I see on the top end here. We've taken out the motor mounts. There was a set of motor mounts here. There's a set of motor mounts over here. Originally I was kind of hoping, but it was a dream, that I would just be able to disconnect everything, unbolt the motor, slide it off, and hoist it out, but that's not going to happen. So what we're doing now is we've disconnected everything, and we've set up one of these gantries that they have at the Junkyard, and we're going to we're supporting it right now. We're taking out all the bolts on the bottom, and then we're going to lower it, then we're going to pull it out, and then we'll have full access to everything to unbolt the motor from the transmission and then pull that off. Motor pulled. It was one hell of a challenge, but Keith and Brian helped me out. Now we got the motor sitting here. We got Jim Bob coming in the forklift slash tractor, whatever you want to call it, to pick it up. They'll take it over to where we pay for it. Then we'll load it up in Keith's truck and get it the hell out of here. Yeah, it's all ready to go. If you trust us, we trust you.
Right.
sec. Let me grab the ECUs on top there. Okay. So there's that Ecotec that spent its first 10 years of life up to 113,000 miles in a 07 Chevy Cobalt. Now we've grabbed it. Hopefully it'll live another 10-15 years in the Baja. Think she's good? All right, there you go. Now you just saw some of taking the engine out of the car. That was a 2007 Chevy Cobalt, and getting the engine back home. This is the Chevy 2.4 liter Ecotec. The research that I did showed that this was a pretty good model to put in there, to put in the Baja. So that's what I went after it. And there's a lot of aftermarket support for it. So what I'm going to do is I could actually go online and I could purchase an ECU and a wiring harness and exhaust, intake. I could pretty much purchase everything that I need to basically bolt it in. It would be pretty expensive. If I have to go that route, I will. But what I'm going to try and do initially is do a lot of it myself. Who knows if down the line, if I have to buy some of this pre-made stuff, I will. But the first thing I'm going to try and do is just install it nicely, but as economically as I possibly can. Now, as we sit right here, I have this motor. This motor, I haven't run it obviously. The motor that it came out of was in a collision. That's why it was totaled. I've turned the motor over. It turns over fine. From the car, I found out that it's got 113,000 miles. I don't think that's horrible. That's the best engine that I could find in this junkyard. So I'm happy with that. And because the car had crash damage, that at least makes me think that this motor was operating fine because the car was barreling down the road and got into an accident. Now, there were cars there that had nice 2.4 liters in them, but the cars themselves were in great shape. There was no crash damage. That kind of makes me think that that motor might have a lot of miles and that the engine or the transmission probably had some sort of major failure, and that's what put these vehicles into the junkyard. So I'm going to make this a series. I'll probably call it Ecotec series or something like that. This will be episode 1, and what these episodes will be is the start to finish process of grabbing the Ecotec, putting it in the Baja Bug, getting it running, and all of that stuff. I'll keep a running tally as these episodes are going forward. So for this episode, buying this engine and the ECU and a little bit of wiring harness, the junkyard charged me $225. So that's where I'm at so far. I'm pretty sure in the next video, I'm just going to be tearing the engine down, taking off some of the accessories, and cleaning it up, because I want to really clean it up and make it look pretty much brand new. I'm not going to tear the engine down. I'm just going to take all the exterior accessories off, but I'll pressure wash it, clean it. I may or may not give it a paint job. I'm not sure, but because it's going to be hanging out in the back there where everybody can see it, I do want it to look nice. And I'm not real familiar with the Ecotec motor, so in the process of me tearing it apart as much as I can without getting into the internals, it will kind of educate me as to what the engine is and where everything is. Thanks for watching the video. I hope you liked it. I hope it was entertaining and possibly motivates you to go work on something of your own. And hopefully I see you on the next one. Take care, guys.